25th of December, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Okay, I guess we can begin again. Okay, good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst, Yeshiva Samanapshi here in Yerushalayim Care Zoom. This is our second shir this morning. We're learning Mishnah Berura, Hilchas Nesias Kapayim, Berachas Kohanim, and Siman Kuf Chav Ches. We're learning today in Siv Lamed Tes. Yeah, Lamed Tes. I guess Eliezer Tzvi, would you like to read?
Okay. I'm off mute. Okay, fine. Lo hayvo echad me chadvarim hamonim hamonim nesias kapayim afal pi she'eno medaktek b'mitzvos b'chol am Mirananim acharav nesin eskapav. Okay, so if you have, I guess you have somebody who's not really proper for duchening, is that what he's saying?
Right. We up until now we've been learning many different things which will puzzle a kohen, right? Whether they may be physical blemishes, they may be things about his past history, right? Many of these things will invalidate a kohen from duchening. Now, in this case, he doesn't have any of these things which we've been discussing, which would prevent him from duchening.
Mm-hmm.
So really, he's in terms of the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is approving of him to duchen.
Right. Okay. Even though the people, even though he's not medatic in mitzvahs, he's not really careful in his mitzvahs, and everybody complains about him.
Right.
Says then he can still go. He can still go up and duchen.
Right. Since he doesn't possess any of the specific things which will puzzle a kohen from duchening, even though he's not the most particular person about mitzvahs, and people really they're not happy with his behavior, and they are complaining against him. Nevertheless, he can still go and duchen.
Okay. Mishabur Lamates, Kuf Mem Beis, Echad Mehadvarim V'chulu. One of the things that will possible him. Rotzvah wants to say Hanis Korim B'Simen Zeh, that the Siman is recognized in him. Kuf Mem Gimel.
Meaning, no, those things which were mentioned previously in this siman. Meaning, he doesn't possess any of those things. He doesn't possess
Okay.
any of those things which were previously mentioned in this simon.
Okay. She'einu medaktif mitzvahs. He's not careful about his mitzvahs. Hainu afilu mitzvahs chamuras karayos ukadoma, including the very serious mitzvahs, or I guess the word, such as the arayos and mitzvahs like that.
Right.
Marina Nachrov, and the people yell after him or cry after him. Afilu Rino and Shel Emes, even if they're saying the truth. Shehu Meforsham call Bereshus Brishaso. That everybody, it's something that's known upon everybody.
Right, meaning he's doing things which are bad, and everyone knows about.
What's Meforsam?
Of course, it's public
Publicized.
knowledge.
What?
Public knowledge.
Publicized.
Thank you.
Pursume Nisa.
Exactly, that's right. Very good.
Okay.
Pursuing
See, Kufmem. Okay. Kufmem. Okay, and Hago, I guess it's in the parentheses. She'ain
Yeah.
shar averos monin nesis kapayim, because the other averos are not going to
prevent him from doing.
doing nesis kapayim. Okay, she'ain shar averos rather. Perish chutz me avodas galulim ashrichas damim canal, except for like idol worship and spilling blood and things like that.
Right.
Uh,
So they're gonna. He has to be very seriously involved with very serious errors to be hustled from duking.
Okay, monin to prevent hainu afilu lo asa tshuva al chatav. This is even if he hasn't done, includes the case that he hasn't done tshuva on his sins. But Tom calls of a Rambam, and the Rambam writes the reason. Lefi shazu mitzvahs asay al kol kohen v'kohen. Duchen is a mitzvah to say on all the kohanim. Sheroilim to this time who are fit to duchen. The ein omrim la'adam rasha hosif al rasha the nias min ha mitzvahs, and we don't pile somebody's averas upon him. We're making more of a rasha by preventing him from doing mitzvahs.
Right.
So somebody sees him going into McDonald's and ordering a cheeseburger.
Right.
He can still duchen?
Right. That's right. Just because he's not, as we said, he's not medaktik in mitzvahs. He doesn't care about kashrus. That shouldn't stop him from doing the mitzvahs that he does want to do.
Okay. V'al titma v'tomer. You shouldn't. What's titma to become?
From the same word as bitmi. You see that in Tosas, bitmi. You shouldn't wonder. Shouldn't be amazed.
Shouldn't wonder and say, Uma Torah birkas kohanim birkas mitzvasam shenitztavabo.
One second.
No, I skipped the line. I'm sorry. Uma
Well, titma, don't wonder. With Tomer and say.
Uma totzil birkas.
Hedyot.
Yeah, what benefit is the bracha of the chediot going to come in this case? In this case, Shein kibul habracha tole b'kohanim ela b'hakadosh baruch hu, because the bracha it doesn't depend on the kohanim; it depends on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shenemar v'yosamu es simik al bnei Yisrael, and avorchem, raise your hands upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Hakohanim osim mitzvosim shenitztamuvo. The Kohanim do the mitzvah that they were commanded to do, which is raising the hands for Kadosh Baruch Hu, who barachamim b'varach es Yisrael b'chefzo, and Hashem in His mercy will bless the people with their portion. Odd Kanashon. This is, I guess, the end of the Rambam.
Right.
But why does he wash his hands in that case?
What, excuse me?
Why does the Kohen wash his hands?
That's similar to the avoda that was done in the Beis Hamikdash.
And the kier.
But why did he do it in the Beis Hamikdash?
Could ask,
The hands
In general, whenever he was doing the avoda,
that
not in the Siyas Kapayim, but any general part of the avoda, he needed to be tahor. That's why he washed his hands. He didn't want tamei hands touching kodesh objects.
why do we care if his hands are tahor if we're saying that the blessing is coming from Hashem?
No, it's not just this. It's not just the Siyas Kapayim. It's all avoda requires that. And we extend it to include Nesias Kapayim as an avoda of the Kohen in the Beis Hamikdash. Just like we need as a korban, he needs to have clean hands. When he blesses the people, he needs to have clean hands. It's a general aspect of avoda, okay, where you're right that because of the nature, it wouldn't matter in the case of Nesias Kapayim, but it's a general aspect of the avoda that the Kohen is doing. When the Kohen does an avoda, he needs to have clean hands, whether it's shechni a korban or whether it's blessing the people. It's part of the fact that it's an avoda that requires that his hands be clean.
Why do we have a Kohen do it in the first place? Why don't we pick the people in the congregation that we want to honor and have them get up and do it?
Because the mitzvah was given to the Kohanim.
Why? You can't answer.
That's what Hashem's
answer
Hashem
by saying because.
Because that's what the Torah says. Of course you do.
No, that's
why do we do something? Because the Torah tells us to do it.
That's not the way you answer the question.
Of course it is. Why do we do this? Because the Torah tells us to do it. That's the only reason we do it, because the Torah tells us to it. There's no seichel involved. The Torah tells us to do something. We do what the Torah tells us to do. There's no question. There's no analysis involved. The Torah says do X, you do X.
Right. Before the Chet Egel, it used to be that the firstborn were the Kohanim, right? There was always a specific group of people that were chosen to be the representatives of the Kadosh Baruch Hu in doing the avoda. So before the Chet Egel, it was the firstborn. At the when the firstborn were not fit anymore to do the avoda because of what happened at the time of the Chet Egel, so it was transferred that designation and that privilege to the Kohanim, right? So Kadosh Baruch Hu could have picked everybody with freckles on their nose and said everyone has freckles on their nose has to do the avoda. And when you don't have freckles on your nose, you can't do the avoda. Kadosh Baruch Hu picked that, but he picked this as his criteria, just as he picked why is shatnez only wool and pishtin and flax,
linen.
Yeah, linen. Why is it only wool and linen? Why can't it be cotton and linen as well? Okay, there are svarim and there are midrashim, even Chazal, which explain that the wool is representative of the sheep that belonged to the hevel, and the flax was the linen was the representative of the plant that the Cain offered, and therefore they got into a fight, and therefore there's a symbolic difference and conflict between the two, but that's simply adding symbolic understanding to the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why does the Beis Hamikdash have to be specifically in Yerushalayim? Right? Why couldn't it be in Hong Kong or in the Grand Canyon? Right? Why do we have to be in Eretz Israel? Right? These are the things which HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose. I mean, you can explain reasons why, but ultimately it always comes to the bottom line that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Melech Olam, and he decides what he wants, and we have to conform to it, right? So why do you have to wash specifically their hands and their feet, and then why does the Kohen Gadol have to go to the mikveh and toivel his whole body, immerse his whole body, I think 8 times on Yom Kippur, right? Only, there are a lot of, as I said, Midrashim, Gemoras, there are a lot of explanations which are given, but ultimately it always it boils down to that this Kadosh Baruch is the king. But I think what Lou was originally asking was that you have this Kohen, right? And he's really not so interested in mitzvahs at all. But this mitzvah that he is interested in. So he's really like a sort of like an unpure type of a fellow. So we're saying, this was explaining, according to the Rambam, that even though this Kohen is not the most purest type of a person, nevertheless, that's his mitzvah, being pure or unpure. And therefore, the bracha is really the bracha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving to the Jewish people because the Kohanim are doing their mitzvah. So the Rambam's really answering the question, meaning it's true, this fellow is not so fit. He's really not so fit. You probably wouldn't want to pick him to marry your sister or marry your daughter. You wouldn't pick him to do that. So why should we pick him to give you a bracha in Shachris, in Shul? The answer is that he's got his mitzvah to do. Okay, there are some mitzvahs that he's not keeping. He's, whatever reason, he's got problems. He has issues with certain mitzvahs, right? There's a certain mitzvahs which he has issues with. Okay, so that's his personal problem. But nevertheless, he has this mitzvah of duchening, of Birkas Kohanim, and he's willing and wanting to fulfill that mitzvah. So as long as he's willing and wanting to fulfill that mitzvah, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because of this fact that this Kohen, who's not really the best representative of HaKadosh Baruch Hu by a long shot, nevertheless, he's doing this mitzvah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is pleased that he's doing this mitzvah, and there through, so to speak, the pleasure that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets through this Kohen doing his mitzvah, that will be the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send the bracha to the rest of Klal Yisrael because of the schus of the mitzvah that the Kohanim are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's continue on with, let's see, Kohen Shanasa Kufmem Zayin. Kufmem Zayin is the
Mem.
next salah, the fifth mem. Okay, let's continue there.
Okay. Kohen Shanasa Gerusha Lo Yases Kapav. A Kohen who marries a divorced woman does not duchen. Ve'ein noagim bo kedusha afilu likro b'torah rishon, and we give him no honors due to his position, including giving him the first aliyah. Ve'afilu gersha o misa posel, and even if she was married to a posel.
Oh, he divorced her. Let's say the Kohen married her. She was divorced once, and the Kohen
Right.
married her, and now the Kohen divorced her. Or
She died. So he's still going to be puzzle. Okay, fine. Ad she yidor hana al das rabim me hanashim shehu aser bahem, until he makes a neder against getting benefit in front of all the people from women who are forbidden to him.
Right. Meaning, even though he divorced her, even though she's not married to him, because she's not around anymore, the Kohen is still puzzled until he'll take an oath of swearing off any hana from any women that are usher to him. Meaning, he's basically swearing he's never going to marry another gerusha, another woman who's forbidden to him. And has to be das rabim, has to be a publicly a certified oath, which is something which can't in general ever be retracted or nullified.
Lou, I think this is where you want to ask your question, because the case in the previous halacha that if, like you said, a Kohen eats McDonald's hamburger, we still let him duchen, but if he marries a gerusha, we don't let him duchen. But what's the difference between eating a McDonald's hamburger and marrying a gerusha? They're both averas that he does, and I think we would say that in Lamed Tes we're talking the averas he's doing are averas atzmo, just on himself, kind of a personal avera. Where in this case, where he marries a gerusha, that is a violation of his status as a kohen. Okay, and when he violates the status of a kohen, that's where he gives up his right to ducha. Where just doing an Avera does not possible from Duchni, but violating his status as a Kohen does do it.
Right, meaning that's very good, Elias. Meaning, by doing Averas, that doesn't mean he's not part of the club anymore. But once he violates the club's rules, right? You want to be a Kohen, these are the rules for a Kohen. So if you violate the rules for the club, so that's going to take him out of the club.
Okay.
I'm surprised about two things. Number one, that we tell him he should swear, because there's a general principle that a Jew doesn't swear. And number two, and I forgot what number two was. Okay, I forgot number two. How about, can you answer number one?
Sure. Because you made the point very yourself that because swearing is such a serious situation that we make him go through that to put the onus on him that he will never do this again. Okay, and the way we do that is we make him swear that he won't do it.
That reminds me of the second question, which was, isn't there a principle that we don't swear to something that is a mitzvah? We don't swear, I swear I'm going to do this mitzvah.
So in general, you're right. Meaning he can't swear to eat matzah, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu's commanded him from Har Sinai. We've already took that shur at Har Sinai previously, right? But there are certain mitzvahs which are called nidri zrizim, that when a person sees that he's weak in a certain thing and he wants to reinforce his determination to do something, even in this case a mitzvah, there are certain oaths that are allowed because he's doing it in order to reinforce and give himself protection against failing. Especially in this case, we've seen this person, he's already failed at least once time before, so we want to make sure that that he's not going to do it again. The only thing is, why do we require this shvua here? I mean, right now he's not married to the Gerusha. He married the Gerusha. Now he's not around anymore. So why can't that simply reinstate him into his status of being a Kohen? Why are we worried about the future? Apparently, we're worried about the future, that he may succumb to the desire to marry any woman that he simply pleases to marry, even if she's forbidden to him.
Lou, we learned the answer in our Pirkei Avos shir. Rabbi Akiva says, "Nedarim siagla precious." They give him, that we make the nader. He makes the nader to guard himself, to protect himself, to prevent him from doing the averas in the future.
You've seen this Cohen's failed already, so it's necessary, especially because you're dealing with a highly sensitive subject here about what kind of woman he wants to marry. You see that he's not careful about this in the past. You see he hasn't been careful about it, so you're concerned that he may not withstand the test in the future, right? So let's see the Mishna Berura. Let's see how the Chafetz Chaim explains this.
Okay, Kofim Zion, Kohen Shanasa Gerusha v'chulu, a Kohen marries a divorced woman. V'hu adin halala, v'zona o chalutza. In this case, he marries a halala, who's a woman who's also married a kahuna, or a zona, or a chalutza, woman who got chalitza. Umasha Nizbar, the Samach Shein Shar Averos Monin Nasias Kapayim. Now we said earlier that other Averos don't prevent him from doing Nasias Kapayim. Hainu Daka Averos Shein Shar HaKohanim
Muzharin
Yotem Yisrael. Those are all mitzvahs where the rule of the Kohanim is not more strict than it is on the rest of Yisrael, the rest of the Jews. While but the cases where the Kohanim were warned more than Israel, such as who you can marry and who you can't marry. Shekadushas Kohanim goim lo v'hu chalalu, because and the kedusha of the Kohanim depends on that, and he ruins it. He caused damage to it. V'fichok pasol midrabanan l'kol davar kahuna. Therefore, he's going to be puzzled from the Rabbanan on all issues of kahuna, until he makes a vow in front of the people that he will not do these in the future.
So we've taken this guy, this poor guy, he's weak, and he gives in to his desires, and makes mistakes and does bad things, and then regrets them. And now we've made him swear. So if he now goes and does it again, marries another woman that he shouldn't, not only is he over on that transgression, but he's also now over on swearing falsely. Now, my understanding is that one of the reasons why a Jew does not want to swear, even if it's true. For example, in the Gemara, when it talks about a person that he has to swear that he didn't steal the deposit that somebody left with him.
Right.
Says he doesn't want to swear. If he doesn't want to swear, and the commentary says he doesn't want to swear because even though it's true, but he doesn't want to put himself in danger of, maybe there's a slight problem with his oath. He doesn't want to put himself in danger, so he'll go ahead and pay. So here we have this person that we're telling him, you have to put yourself in danger of being over swearing falsely. It seems like we're damaging this person potentially.
It's only because this person wants to practice kahuna again. Okay, if he doesn't want to be a Kohen anymore, he doesn't have to do any of this. He can even vatal his kahuna. But if he wants to be a Kohen again, he wants to duchen, he wants to get rishon. Okay, that's an obligation, and you can put an obligation. You can put requirements on him. If he's fine saying, okay, I'm done with it. I don't want to care. I don't care anymore. Because he doesn't care anymore. He doesn't have to do any of this. But the fact he's indicated that he wants to reestablish his status as a Kohen, you can put a burden on him. It's a serious thing. It's not just a willy-nilly thing to be, to do it. So you can put a burden on him.
Right. You see, if he's interested in rejoining the club, right, he's on probation, right? You put him on probation. That we see many times. You want to rejoin the club, you'll be on probation. So this person failed once, failed very badly, and it's liable he could fail again. So we want to protect him, right?
It's too bad Mayor's not here for this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Good questions, Lou.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for helping me with your answers.
No problem.
Let's see. I think we might have time for another Mr. Brewer. Let's see. Aldas Rabim, right?
Okay, Aldas Rabim. Sheneder Shehuder Al Das Rabim Ein Lo Hatara. That a neder that you make in front of the public, this cannot be. There's no Hataras Nadarim on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Be nullified.
Aval Kishalo Yidar Al Das Rabim Hashin Shema Yelech Etzel Chacham V'Yishal Al Nidaro. because if he doesn't make this public neder, then we're afraid he's going to go to a chacham and have the neder bottle. Because of the Yetzer Hara of Arias, it might come and control him.
Right.
So we make him vow in public, so he can't go back on the vow, etc.
Okay, so therefore it's a forever binding oath that he's taken here, and therefore that might convince him, if he's ever in the situation where he's tempted again, he might be convinced not to fall to his temptation.
Yep.
Okay. Kufman test one more, Mr. Brewer, I think, then we can finish it up, right?
Okay.
Test.
Man, Nashim Shehu Aser Bahem, from the women that are Aser for going to marry. Begam Tzorech Lagarish Alto, he certainly has to divorce her. Kain Kasfu HaChronim, that's the Achronim write this.
Right.
Umashalo Hisker HaMachaber Devar Zeh, and that the Machaber didn't write this. Mishum Dekoy Af Al Gerusha Misha Huskar B'Tchila, because we already talked about him having divorced or she died. Lahosha Od Al Eze Zman Shalo Lagarsha. And if you were going to wait until the time that he hadn't divorced her yet, Af Shahidur Mimenu Hana Asr last component. If he hasn't divorced her, even if he has been another Hana against her, he still can't duchen. V'gam ena ola l'torah rishon, and he still doesn't get kohen.
Right.
So
if it's taking time to give the get, let's see, for some reason that the get's not going to be given for a month or two, and he'll even take the oath now, but still it won't help because he's still married to her, and he won't be able to duchen or even get the first aliyah until it's completely finished.
all right.
Good.
Very
Okay,
good.
Very good. Thank you, Eliezer. That was very good. Thank you.
No problem.
Mayor.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Lou. Everyone have a good day.
Okay, have a good day. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. See you tomorrow, Mr. Shem.